Amazing. Apologies for the dropout in sound there. It has been 9 months and a long and checkered road since Wout van Aert last tasted victory. He now has a stage win in each of the Grand Tours. Robbie McEwen, this was hard fought for Wout, wasn't it? And I don't just mean today.
I mean, the fight has been since all those big crashes in Dwars-Door-Vlaanderen and then in the Vuelta last year. And as you said, I think you could say it's been a long, potholed gravel road for Wout van Aert. Sometimes there was no road in front, I think. But this is a victory of redemption. And he's had his problems with injuries, I think, psychologically too, getting himself back into racing, back into the mix.
A lot of criticism as well, Robbie.
Yeah, and some criticism. And I say he has been not at his best in big bunches, getting there when it counted for his sprinter. But you put him on a day like this, where the stage itself, the profile, the course separates everybody out, and it was only a matter of time. You saw him getting better over the last couple of days. He targeted this one. His team had allowed him to do what it takes. But he also did what it takes for Simon Yates at certain times to not compromise his tilt for GC. Oh, he did absolutely everything perfectly, and that is the result.
I think having Simon Yates was the best thing that could have happened to Wout in that group. Yeah. Having him behind, chasing. Del Toro didn't know if he was chasing or not, but Wout can always say, we've got Simon behind, he's always chasing, so he didn't have to do any of that work. We saw Isaac at the finish sort of gesturing his hand to Wout to be like, come on, man, what the hell? But it's bike racing, you know. Del Toro didn't look round. He asked him for a few turns, but he wasn't stopping and starting with it. Isaac knew he had a job to do to get in pink, and he kept riding. If it was the stage, he should have looked round and gone, right, we're either doing this together or we're not doing it at all, and then just played cat and mouse with each other. But he didn't. He was happy to do that work.
It was absolutely perfect. And for Simon as well, Simon didn't have to work either. So he could sit on, because we've got Wout in front. Yeah. Wout could sit, not do any work, because he had Simon in the back, so it's absolutely perfect. But he went so deep. We were cheering him on when I think everybody wanted him. Del Toro is in the jersey. Yeah. He'll win in the future again. But this, as Robbie was saying, it's a redemptive performance. You know, it's form fades, class doesn't. And this man has got it in absolute spades, as well as an absolutely beautiful fringe. But he went so deep on the wheel. Yeah. That wasn't a mask. He was on the absolute limit, wasn't he, today?
Yeah, honestly, you could write a book about this stage. Normally it goes book and then a movie. We've seen the movie. Don't know how you can but it deserves to have a book written about it too. I mean, so many stories come out of today's stage. You know, it was phenomenal.
It was one of the days, and I've said this before, but it's a day to fall in love with cycling all over again. And if you have never watched a stage like this, then welcome to the beautiful world of professional cycling. Isaac Del Toro, with maybe the performance of his career, it was absolutely phenomenal today. He has taken the pink, not the stage win. That belongs once again to Wout van Aert. Let's hear from him.
Vuelta A Espana. Now you are a Giro D'Italia stage winner. Not any stage, that stage, the stage you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's easy to say this victory means a lot to me. I almost cannot explain it. Yeah, it had to be here, I believe, because this place is where my road career started back in 2018, and yeah, to win this stage after a long period without delivering finally again, yeah, it feels so good.
How difficult was it to hold on to Del Toro's wheel in the last hill?
I have to say, he did such an amazing ride. Yeah, I felt a bit shit to not pull too much with him, because yeah, obviously he's also a competitor for my teammate Simon Yates, and had to leave the work to him. But still, then it was so close to beat him. I had to fight all the way to the top, to the streets of Siena, and then just because I know the final pretty well, I needed to do the move in the last few corners.
The last corner, it's the experience of Strade Bianche that makes you a winner today?
Yeah, maybe, but still, lactate was everywhere, and I didn't do a really good last corner. I almost missed it, but yeah, once you're there in first position, it's pretty close to the line, so of course I knew that after a few Strade Bianches.
Proficiat.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can all forgive Wout van Aert for his colourful language there, as he is greeted by his family, who have obviously been through all of the lows of the last year in particular, as well as now the highs once again. As Robbie alluded to, that crash at Dwars-Door-Vlaanderen last year, which delayed his debut Giro D'Italia. He was due to compete here last year, not able to compete until this year. Finally then he gets to start the Giro D'Italia and he gets his stage win. So this is confirmation of your top 10 on the stage. Isaac Del Toro with an incredible ride today. The battle between these two was absolutely wonderful entertainment. Giulio Ciccone in third ahead of Carapaz. Simon Yates then in fifth. Tiberi Wan Ayuso finishing in seventh. 107 back. We will be dissecting UAE and their tactics today. Tymon Arensman with a phenomenal ride after dropping back. He now finishes in eighth ahead of Egan Bernal, another rider to talk about. And Adam Yates, we heard from him a moment ago, there finishing in 10th. I just want to give another quick word on Wout van Aert, because I think it's important to explain, I guess, why, as neutrals, and we are neutrals, but we're fans of the sport. That's why we do this job. That's why we're here. And I don't know of any fan of professional cycling who hasn't been cheering on Wout van Aert in the last year. And it's because of the way that he wins. It's the kind of rider that he is. It's the kind of teammate that he is, and the sacrifices that he gives over for his teammate. He is the consummate bike rider, isn't he?
He's the ultimate bike rider, ultimate teammate, ultimate champion in my eyes. You know, what he can do in the classics and then what he can do in the Tour de France, and more in mountain stages than sprints, is what's the most impressive thing with Wout. He's not a Tadej Pogacar, but he's not a Van der Poel either. You know, he's not a pure classics rider. He's not a pure Tour de France rider. But he does these two so brilliantly. And if you had a checkbook where you could sign any rider to do all these things, Wout is almost at the top of the list, because he is so successful and so good at doing them all. And just from where he's come from, you know, you mentioned his wins, what he's been through in the past, to where he is now. We've always seen him almost get back. The Vuelta, he got back for a little bit. He had a couple of wins. He
was in the points jersey.
Three wins, yeah.
And then went into the classics, just not quite there, but oh so close. And I think that oh so close teased us all into hope almost that he's back.
Tortured us
coming.
As well.
Exactly. And then to get this win on a day like today especially, 100% Wout would have been good here. But I think what makes it nicer is that he's been ill through this race. He had a second on stage one, then he's just gradually been building until this big firework of a win. And I just couldn't be happier for him. I think looking at him at the finish with his kids there and everything, it's just one of those moments in his career that he'll always remember, where he's like, God, that was a good feeling.
And that's going to be hung on his wall at home. I know Tom Pidcock's got it. Every winner, Tadej's got the poster of the win. OK, he's already won.
God, how many houses have you been in?
No,
it's Tom in the name drops there from Matt Stevens.
You know that it's humble brag.
You've been in an awful lot of downstairs toilets, Matt, I would say, in your career. There's no picture of me winning down there, though, although I do have the Champions Trophy from the Predictors Challenge in my downstairs.
The best thing is that those people don't know that Matt's been in their houses. But anyway, I think what makes us appreciate Wout van Aert so much, and some people say, oh, you bang on about him a lot, but for a good reason. He not only shows us, and we appreciate him because he's an athletic freak, but he also shows us he's human. He's had the injuries, had the down times, the fight back, the rehabs from injury, and he shows us the side of him, that psychological side, that sometimes he seems as fragile as anybody else on the planet. And the amount of pressure on him, when you know his superstardom, not only in the sport, but particularly in Belgium, and how much under the microscope that he is, that sort of pressure he carries with him all the time, and then even more when he's going well. So to get this, and I think the pressure, and this is the right moment to talk about it, after Paris-Roubaix, where he finished to fourth, the question came from his son Georges there. He said, Dad, why were you only fourth? And to hear that, like, you know, it's a really innocent question, but to hear it from your kid, you're like, oh, well, there were three fast and strong. So how good would it feel to get there and go, what do you think of that one?
Yeah.